In the blotches of forest that dot Loveland, Ohio, and residing near its Little Miami River are said to be quite peculiar and even whimsical denizens. Small humanoids that resemble amphibians, and according to legend, may even be masters of magic. Welcome to Cryptid Corner, the series all things cryptids, and today we are going to look into the Loveland Frogmen. The Loveland Frogmen are frog-like creatures that are said to reside in Loveland, Ohio, usually in close proximity to the Little Miami River, which flows into the Ohio River. These fellas possess the ability of bipedal movement and stand around 3 to 4 feet tall and weigh about 50 to 70 pounds. The frogmen, also referred to as lizardmen in initial cases, are said to closely resemble frogs with webbed hands and feet and round eyes. But they are also said to possess reptilian features such as rougher skin, sometimes little spikes, and even the report of a tail. Although froglets do exist, so, that could explain the latter. Your reminder that froglets exist. Awkward little guys. But unlike many cryptids I have covered, the Loveland Frogmen have said to possess wands that fire sparks. You heard that right. A bunch of frog dudes that cast magic spells. How can you not love that? Due to these feats of magic, they are generally thought more of as supernatural entities or just outright hoaxes more than legitimate cryptids. But I think that you people are jealous that you can't be a spell-casting frog that lives in Ohio and doesn't pay taxes. The frogmen have been quite an influential cryptid, being referenced in media and even beyond Ohio, and in 2023, was even made the mascot of Loveland, Ohio. The Loveland loves the Loveland Frogmen. How do you not? Also, the Frogman kind of reminds me of Frog and Toad. The first sighting of the Frogmen goes all the way back to May of 1955, which is coincidentally the same year that Kermit the Frog debuted. Pretty damn interesting coincidence, eh, Kermit? Around 3:30 at night, businessman Robert Honeycutt would be traveling down his road leaving his neighborhood by the Little Miami River, when off to the side he would spot something truly weird. A gathering of 3 small bipedal creatures that had webbed hands and feet, gray leathery skin, and frog-like heads with wrinkles where a person's hair would usually grow. The band would slowly approach, with him and the frogmen just kinda looking at each other for around 3 minutes, until one of the frogmen would pull out a wand, hold it over his head, and would cast a spell that would spew out sparks, causing Robert to nope the fuck out of there. The next major frogman encounter would occur on March 3rd of 1972, when Officer Shockey would be driving down Riverside Road near the local boot factory in the late hours of the night. The officer was driving slowly due to icy conditions, and suddenly, what first appeared to be a dog would come into sight of his view. But the closer he got, the less of a dog that this creature appeared to be. The creature would suddenly dash towards Shockey's car, causing him to slam on the brakes, revealing a large bipedal frog crouching before the vehicle's headlights. The frogman then stood up and made its way over to a guardrail, hurtling over it and jumping off into the Little Miami. Shockey would return to the police station, most likely thinking that no one else would believe him what he saw. Although, when he returned to the scene of the sighting, there appeared to be scratch marks on the guardrail that an officer that accompanied him backed up. 2 weeks after this encounter, Officer Matthews would be driving into Loveland not far from Shockey's encounter, when he would notice an animal lying down in the road, believing it to have been injured or as roadkill. The officer went to move it off of the icy road when suddenly it would spring up into a crouched position, closely resembling the creature that was encountered weeks earlier, although this time there was a mention of a tail. As some officers just tend to do when something different is in front of them, he would pull out his revolver and shoot at the animal, with it scurrying off into the night where it probably succumbed to its injuries from getting shot. Matthews rightfully received backlash for this account of the story, leading to him making further statements in coming years, and we'll get into them later, but it really doesn't justify the shooting at all. In fact, it actually makes it worse. But our next sighting would be in August of 2016, when the world was in full-blown Pokemania following Pokemon Go's release, and people were given a reason to go touch some grass. And while this was going on, a man named Sam Jacobs and his girlfriend would be exploring the Loveland area in pursuit of Pokermans. But when they got to Lake Isabella, the only monster that they would find was a big-ass frog. Sam, whose phone was already available, would record this encounter, claiming that the amphibian was bipedal, but all that shows in the footage is him chilling in a lake. The Loveland frog is one of the weirder cryptids, and when including its initial 1955 account, some would even write off the entire story as a hoax and not even bother looking at it from a cryptozoological angle. But still, several police officers went on to report the frogman, and in 2016, someone caught film of it. So, what's going on here? When delving into just how large frogs can get, the largest known frog alive today, the Goliath frog, can reach up to 14 inches in length from snout to vent and weighs around 7.3 pounds. And the largest known frog ever, Beelzebufo from the late Cretaceous Madagascar, were thought to reach up to 16 inches in length and weighed up to 10 pounds, and 8 baby dinosaurs. Although more recently their size was kind of downscaled to around 10 inches, but with a larger head. But we still don't really know for sure, as the fossil record is just a partial look into this past. We could find remains that change our minds yet again. Either way, both of them are far from the size of the frogman, and are also far removed from Loveland, Ohio, with both being found in Africa. And also, none of these two frogs are known to walk on their hind legs, although this could change. But regarding to the 70s encounters, we already do have a culprit as to what the frogman was, and it comes from Officer Matthews' follow-up statements. In a 2001 email interview, Matthews would go on to say that the incident was blown out of proportion and hyperbolized, claiming that details such as the bipedal locomotion and froggish skin were all entirely made up by the media. And according to him, the creature he shot was recovered and identified as a tailless iguana that was not even around 3 feet long and was likely dumped in the wild by negligent pet owners. He speculated that for heat, in order to survive, the iguana would frequent a nearby heating facility, and on the night that he found it, the poor lizard would become disoriented due to the sheer cold and the bright headlights. He also claims that the iguana was shown to Shockey and that he identified it as the animal he saw weeks prior. This could also explain the scratch marks on the guardrail, although what guardrail isn't already pretty beat up as is. But I still have problems with Matthew's retelling of the story. Firstly, in his first account, he claims that he's seen a tail on the creature, which would contradict the earlier sighting from Shockey, which claimed there was no tail. Iguanas can regrow their tails, but depending on the age, it would be very rough to do so in 2 weeks, especially in very cold situations, only to lose it again while getting shot. And on that note, another detail he includes is that the iguana presented no aggressive action, and that he just shot it to collect it to show the team. That's just how fucked up is that? Screw catching it, you know. This creature was once somebody's pet, most likely. But nah, I gotta shoot it to bring it in. Like, come on, man. Like, you couldn't just net it or something, or throw a jacket over it. That's just messed up. And the sad thing is that the iguana probably was already on its last legs and approached the officers because it needed a warm spot. But the last thing that Officer Matthews did was shoot at the damn thing. Regarding the 1955 encounter, I think the best way to explain that account, given witnesses never lie, is that this magic encounter was just a group of ruffians pulling a prank. What were a bunch of teens doing on the side of the road at 3 in the morning with frog outfits and sparklers? Frankly, probably some weird stuff, but pranking people is the most likely thing. And regarding the 2016 case, there isn't really much of it that tells me that it isn't just a nighttime video of a big-ass frog in a pond. All we really see is the frog in the pond, and we don't really get any sense of the scale of the creature. I personally feel like Sam wanted to get a viral video by utilizing local folklore whilst out catching them Pokemans. The Frogmen being a hoax makes the most logical sense, although, just how there are a bunch of giant bipedal frogs that are said to exist in a state as populated as Ohio, and only like 5 people actually claim to see them. That's kind of off. Hell, they would have been in this area for a long time, and at least long enough for Native Americans in Ohio to have stories or accounts of them, but there's nothing. The hoax angle is notorious, for towns and locations to promote travel and to build rich local folklore that the community can identify with. And Loveland sure loves these little frog dudes, and I mean, just how can you not? And there you have it. One of the weirdest cryptids in Ohio, if not American history. If you believe Officer Matthews, this hoax that spawned from a tired businessman had willed itself into existence nearly 20 years later when some dude's iguana got out. And even if it isn't a frog, and even though it didn't have a sparkling wand, something magic did occur, and it would reinforce the legend of the Loveland Frog that would make it a local story into a well known cryptid encounter during a time when cryptozoology had become larger than it had before, putting Loveland, Ohio on the map. Only in Ohio, man. Okay, is that everyone gone? Everyone clicked off? Good, now I can stop lying. There are frog mages in Ohio. That's what it is, and that is the truth. They can cast a variety of spells. They have tamed ground sloths, and they use them as like horses. And they will teach you their ways if you give them a jar of insects mixed in with Cheeto crumbs. I'll see you in Ohio, my friends. And that's going to do it for the Loveland Frog. I really love these little whimsical frog fellas that are just chilling in Ohio. I really wonder what they're doing right now in the swamps, because they're definitely real and they have magic, and if you think they don't, you're coping. But what did you think about the Loveland Frogs? Make sure to leave a comment down below what you thought about them. Do you think that they could be some bizarre amphibious creature, and that, Officer Matthews is covering this up? Make sure to comment that down below. If you got any suggestions for cryptids, make sure to comment that down below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe for more, and turn that bell notification on so that you can hit the video the second it comes up. But yeah, I'd like to thank you all for watching once some more. And as always, have yourself a good one. Goodbye.